Welcome back, everybody. This is Justin with Calvary Chapel RV Travelers, and we're here in Gonzales, Texas, at the city cemetery, and there's a reason for that. There is a famous Texas Ranger that is buried here, and I want to kind of take you through that. So let's go. Now we're at the corner of Henry and Wallace here in Gonzales, Texas. And this is actually the city cemetery, like I said before. And what I found really interesting about this cemetery is the left side is the older side and the right side is the newer side. And it's like this road splits that. And if you go way back to the back of the cemetery, as we're looking at this, you're going to see some graves that were established back there in the 1825. Since that was when the town was established, it makes a lot of sense. And as you move forward, it gets newer, obviously. And then on this side, if you go way to the front of the cemetery, you're going to see how people were buried, right around, this is as new as this year. Now, on the left side, you're going to see that there were people buried in the early 2000s. But for the most part, the right side is the newer side. Now, the one thing I really found was these trees on the left side and the older side are super creepy. Now, this is Friday the 13th of December of 2024. And it is really fitting that we're doing a cemetery video on this day. If you're superstitious, that's kind of a fun date. One thing I wanted to point out was this headstone. This man had died over 20 years ago, and the family is still honoring him with Christmas decorations. I thought that was really neat. His wife is still alive, according to the headstone. And Chester must have been a fun grandfather, because you can see all the little stockings there where the family members have put up. So he's definitely has got some grandkids and kids there. And, they were married 50 years ago, or they would have been married 50 years. And so I thought it was really neat how they're still honoring him. Now, as you walk through this part of the cemetery, you're going to see some super old and really creepy headstones. I thought it was really fitting for this day. But, the trees are what, really interested me because of the fact that, I don't know what they look like during the summertime, but in the fall and the winter time like this, where they don't have any leaves, they just really captured my attention. And you can see somebody put a rock there. So they were having some fun with that. But, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Matthew Caldwell. He was the very first Texas Ranger in Gonzales, Texas. He was born in Kentucky on March 8th, 1798, and he died in Gonzales on December 28th, 1842. Now, you can tell he wasn't very old. He was only 44 when he died, but he had established a lot during his lifetime. He had moved to Missouri with his family in 1818, where he had traded, fought, and learned the indigenous American Indian way. And he and his wife, Martha Hannah Morrison, moved to Green Duet Colony on February 20th in 1831. They had 3 children, and, the interesting thing is he was considered the Paul Revere of Texas because he rode from Gonzales to Minia to inform colonists that there was this dire need for support in the volunteer army. And as a patron or a participant of the battle, he served as a scout and a mediator. And so it's really interesting how he did have that military background, as well as being a Texas Ranger later on. We're going to stop right here because I wanted to show you this grave area. My wife just thought it was really neat because it was kind of creepy. But I liked how they sectioned this off, and there's a little walkway into this. This is a German gentleman and his family, because if you could get a little closer, if you could read this, and I don't know if you can, but you can tell how the dates are in German. But here is his gravestone as well, and they're in English, and his wife on the left side there, and he's on the right. And then they have a monument here, and this is very common back in the 19th and early 20th century to do that. And then if you look to the left, which I will pan around, there's a smaller monument to somebody that was, I'm not really sure the relationship, but they died in 1917. Of course, my finger is in the way again. This was a common occurrence today. And then right here on the left, when I pan around, you're going to see that the same name, same family name, and these people had died in the early 1990s. And so long family history, and I just thought, as we walk through, I wanted to point that out. And this is very common in the cemetery. You've got a huge family resemblance and history in this area. But I wanted to continue on with Matthew here, Caldwell. On November 3rd of 1835, the delegates of the citizens of Texas established the Provisional Texas Government by the Consolidation of 1835. Now, he had held the rank of captain in the Gonzales Seguin Rangers, and he was actually a signer of the Texas Declaration of Independence as of March 2nd, 1836. And I found that really interesting. And we're going to stop and kind of look at this one too. This was really neat. This gated area where this whole family had been buried. I just wanted to point that out, that at first it looked like you couldn't get in there, but you can see you can. But anyways, going back to Matthew Caldwell, he had held the rank, like I said, as captain, but his nickname was thought to come from a painted horse he rode, but it was actually came from his beard, because it was a multicolored beard. And he is called Old Paint as a result of that. Now, here is his tombstone. It took some time to find it. And of course it's rainy there, and it was 60 degrees, which is really warm for me because I'm from Washington State, but this is Texas, so it's probably pretty common. But, as you can tell, there's quite a history written on his tombstone. And to the left, to the right there, you can see John Sowell. Now, I wanted to point out that there is a man by the name of Andrew Jackson Sowell, and he was actually the very first of the Texas Rangers. And I did some searching in his life, and he was actually born June 27th of 1815 and died January 4th, 1883. And he was a long life soldier and farmer in the mid-19th century. And he participated in the Republic of Texas, the Mexican-American War, and the Civil War. And so this man here that you're seeing, this grave here, was definitely a relative. And so, somebody that followed in the footsteps.